I think one of the worst places that someone can find themselves in is to think that you're doing good or to think that you're a certain type of person, but your actions don't reflect that and your life doesn't reflect it. And you're not even aware of it, that you are blind to the fact that you are not who you say you are. You are somehow both lying to yourself while you're simultaneously unaware of it. And if we can be unaware of how our actions are not actually representing who we think we are, how can we ever be sure that we are who we say we are? My mom has dropped a lot of bars on me growing up. She has so many sayings that that just shut me the fuck up and like really made me rethink my life. But one time, I think after hearing what she said, I opened my third eye. Like I was able to see myself in a completely different perspective. You see, in middle school, my dream was to play college basketball. I fucking loved basketball. Like I would skip class to go hoop. Don't tell my family that. I would stay for hours after school to go hoop. And then one day on the way to basketball practice, my mom turned around and just confronted me and said, "Marcus, you have to stop playing so much basketball. Like, you have to focus on your studies." That's essentially what she said. Like, I cut out the fact that it was probably said with a little more urgency, like a little more emotion. And then I was like, "Mom, like, this is my dream. I want to be a college basketball player. Like, you're gonna stop me from trying to achieve my dream?" And she just stared at me and said, "You don't look like a college basketball player. Wouldn't a college basketball player go lift weights? Wouldn't a college basketball player have abs?" And I was like, damn, like, chill. Like, are you just fat shaming me right now? She did fat shame me. But the actual message that she was communicating to me underneath it all was something profound. Because she was trying to tell me that my actions didn't line up with the person that I wanted to be or thought that I was. And just because I played a lot of basketball and I loved basketball didn't mean I was gonna become a college basketball player, because there's a lot of people that love basketball. There's a lot of people that play for hours on the fucking street, but they'll never get an opportunity to play college basketball. Because when you say that you want to be a certain person or do a certain thing, you need to be extremely clear on what that looks like when it's manifested in reality. Because anyone can want anything or desire anything. That's easy. I just have to think it. I can just decide that I really want popcorn right now. There we go. Like, I desire popcorn. But more relevant, I can want to be a more disciplined person. I can want to be a more caring person. I can want to be a more driven person. But only when you take an honest assessment of your actions, thoughts, and desires and how they actually manifest in your life, or how they exhibit themselves on a moment-to-moment basis through your life, can you be sure that you are actually who you say you are. In other words, only then will you be able to see yourself for who you actually are, who you truly are. And if you do that, you're completely honest with yourself and you realize that you are so far from the ideal person that you thought you were being. It is so important that realization makes you then realize that you have to stop showing yourself evidence for you being the person that you don't want to be. Because if you keep showing yourself evidence that you are not who you say you are, why would you ever take yourself seriously? And what would your life look like if your own mind and your own spirit didn't take your thoughts about yourself seriously? Because your brain picks up on everything that you experience. It's consuming information and processing it, whether you're aware of it or not. See, if the physical world is showing direct evidence for something, don't you think that your brain will take that more seriously, as opposed to the endlessly shifting, baseless dreams and desires that you can think up whenever you want? And it's interesting to see how many people who have undergone drastic mental or spiritual transformations first preceded that with a physical transformation. And I'm not saying that getting abs or getting bigger shoulders is going to make you spiritually enlightened, but it's the fact that you determined a dream identity or a dream outcome for your life in the mental and spiritual realm, and then actually actualize that in the physical realm as a representation of a shift in your mental, as a shift in your identity. And that is the only way that a mental or spiritual transformation can actually stick, when it's firmly attached to a physical change as evidence observed for that mental or spiritual change. Like, every time I look at my physique, every time I put on more weight onto the bar than I previously did, I'm showing myself evidence that I am indeed who I say I am. When I look in the mirror, the fact that my shoulders are growing bigger, that my chest is doubled in size, is evidence telling me that I am indeed who I think I am. I am someone with a good physique that I'm proud of, someone that stays consistent and has the ability to stay extremely disciplined, someone who is meticulous about their action. And if I show myself that I am indeed this person through the physical change that I manifested in myself, don't you think that those positive effects will bleed out into the rest of my life? will bleed out into my mental development, into my spiritual development. So when you think of that person that you want to be, how do they actually live? How does that person wake up? Energized or dreading the day? How does that person chew their food? Slowly, dignified, or just wolfing shit down? How does that person breathe? And when you think of who you want to be, do you want to breathe in a calm, collected, controlled way, or like a huffing and puffing and panting way? I bring up those questions, I bring up those examples because who you are is not what you believe about yourself. Who you are is every little action that you commit, every little change that you create in the physical realm, as feedback to show you who you are in relation to the world. And once you clarify the person that you want to be as detailed as possible, like almost to a moment-to-moment basis, then you can begin to show yourself evidence for that person that you want to become by manifesting those actions into reality, and then discontinuing the evidence that tells you otherwise. Because you don't want to risk thinking that you're doing great. You don't want to risk thinking that you are a certain someone, when in reality, your actions are adding up to become a person that you despise.